Welcome back to Dorm Room Rebuilds. Today,
We're building a cargo bike.
alright, picture this. You're about to leave for class, you have your backpack, your gym bag, maybe a snack for while you're in class, and all you have with you to get you there is your bike. I face this problem pretty regularly. I carry a lot of stuff everywhere, carry a lot of parts for bikes, or all my stuff for class, everything, and just don't have enough space on my bike. So I really want a cargo bike. There's three main types of cargo bikes. There's long tail cargo bikes, long nose cargo bikes, and bucket cargo bikes. And I personally really like the long neck cargo bikes. I think I just like the way that they look, and the functionality of them is really good. But number one manufacturer is Omnium, and they're a little out of my budget. The base model is like $3,000, so not a fan of that. Don't have that much money to spend on a cargo bike when I already have like 3 other bikes. So I want to build one. Now the idea is this: you take your existing 26er mountain bike, like an old steel frame. I have a Trek, all of the like GT ones from the 90s, the Trek ones from the 90s, all the steel frame 26ers. They're common, they're everywhere. Take one of those and have something that you can bolt onto the front of it that turns it into a long neck cargo bike with like linkage steering wheel all the way out front, so it'd be 26 rear, 20 inch in the front. There's a place where you can put a cargo deck. That's the idea. The idea is to take an existing bike that you have and turn it into a cargo bike. Now I've had this idea for a while, probably like a year or so, and I did make a version 1. Here's version 1. As you can see, it does have a pretty good amount of space for cargo. It's got a long front nose on it, but the front wheel is still behind the main cargo load. This design was based off of a cargo fork that I saw online that I really liked. There's a company that makes them. Again, I didn't really want to pay for it, so I used scrap laying around at home to make it. And it worked really well. It held my weight. I put a big bucket on the front of it and hauled stuff around, and yeah, worked pretty well, but overall it was pretty unstable at speed. And if you loaded it up really heavy, because the front wheel wasn't out front, the whole bike would try and tip forward, and not cool. If you don't want that. So I want to build a version 2 that has the wheel all the way up front, linkage steering, and is generally just more stable and more strong. And I'd like to make it kind of generic so that it can work with a bunch of different kinds of bikes, not just one specific bike, so that someone could take this kit and throw it onto their existing bike, and it could work for a range of models and sizes from different companies. That way anyone can turn their bike into a cargo bike. So that's the idea. I have access to a really nice shop here at my school, so I'm going to be using a lot of the tooling that they have there, including their welder. So you'll see me working a lot in the shop, and that's where I'm at, is the one at school. Alright, so since I got all of this metal from scrap frames that I had laying around, I'm going to have to do quite a bit of cleanup work. What I'm doing here is I'm basically just filing off all of the little nubbins and extra bits of metal that are left on the tubing that I got from the scrap bikes to make them nice and clean, ready to be used for the frame itself of the cargo kit. As you can see, they cleaned up pretty nicely. I did this to all the tubes that I was going to be welding on. I then threw a couple miters on each end of the main top tubes that I was using for the frame. Cleaned up the edges, got them prepared for welding, and I actually went through after this and sanded all the paint off of everything. You can see here, this is kind of the general idea. It's going to be the length of the linkage there. Yeah, it's turned out pretty good. Just have to go through and clean up all the rest of the tubes. Get everything cut to length. You can see there I sanded off all of the paint, and I filed that one too to get all the nubs off. And here I had to make a longer head tube because I'm dropping the front wheel down to 20 inches. I have to make like an extended head tube, and I didn't have one super long length of head tube stock, so I extended this one using 2 pieces of the original headset from the bike. You can see here I start to weld up the frame itself. You can see that really long head tube and the top tube that I cut down earlier. Just welding them together. I'm basically making a small triangle to support the weight of the cargo, and that little tube I'm welding up on the front is the front headset arrangement for the 20-inch wheel, 20-inch fork, and that's a super small length of head tube stock from another bike. And here's the support tube that I'm welding. That's the triangle I was talking about. You can see I mitered both of those edges to perfectly fit. And here it is all welded up. Don't judge the welds, but they will hold. And this final piece I'm adding is the support to the actual bike frame itself. And then that front piece there is the extended cargo area. You can see there I have the whole frame welded up with the little clamp on the end. And I am going to paint it, make it look pretty nice. This is just a sandable primer. I'm going to throw that on there first, and then I'm going to use some filler to get the rest of it in there. Here's the headsets I'm using. It's just $15 ones from Amazon. But you can see it fits pretty well on the bike. That back support there with the clamp going to the frame is adjustable, so it can all be adjusted to fit. And here's the front headset all put together. You can see the vision now is really starting to come together. You can see the cargo bike-esque-ness. Here's the filler I was talking about. Just put a little bit of that all over the frame just to make it a little nicer, especially on the welds, because they weren't really that pretty. I threw another coat of primer on here. This is the final step before color. Just going to put a couple coats of black on there, and then my top coat I'm using is like a sparkle transition color. You'll see it later. It looks really nice. One of my final steps now, I'm making the steerer, and what I did is I chopped down another fork that I had and extended the steerer because I needed a really long one, and no fork comes with that long of a length of steerer. And I did weld this later, I just don't show it. And now I'm doing the final assembly, getting it all put together, and we'll see how it turns out.
Like it was a front rack just like this, and I don't know.
So yeah, the basic frame is done. Here's the nice sparkle paint I put on there. Looks really nice, especially if you shine a flashlight or in the sun. It's a pretty nice paint. Shout out Rust-Oleum.
Sure.
Holy crap, he's cooking.
And of course I did have to ride on this one too, just to make sure that this one also held my weight, and sure enough it did. And this ride was before I had brakes on it, so it was a little sketchy. Cargo bike turned out great. I'm going to go over just a list of all the features that this kit that I built has and what I have planned for it. So this bike itself, it started out as a frame, and so I built it up with some pretty nice components I had laying around. It's a 3x9, I think it's an LX drivetrain, 180mm guide brakes, which are really nice and provide some great stopping power. And off camera, I built a mount for a bucket, or like it's a box from Menards. The big thing with this cargo kit that I'm really proud of is that everything's adjustable on it to make it universal, just like I had planned. The clamp that goes onto the frame of the bike that it is attached to is on a threaded rod, so that you can adjust it out, and the actual clamp itself rotates so that you can hook it onto different head tube angles, or if the bottom tube of your bike is at a different angle, you should be able to clamp it just as well. And since it's adjustable in and out, it works for different sized frames. So I'm really proud of the overall clamp design and really the overall design. The big question, how much did this bike cost me? It only cost me like $250 to build. So the front fork was like 150 bucks. The headsets were from Amazon. Those are like $15 a piece. I got 2 of them. And then the linkage was like $10, also from Amazon. And then I had some other little bits and bobs out there to make this bike. I guess like $18 for this tub from Menards, in case you were wondering. But all the metal from this bike came from scrap that I had laying around, and then all the components that I put on the bike to build it I already had laying around, so bike math, those are free. Even if I bought them way back when, they've been in my parts bin, so they're literally free. So yeah, around $250 to build this, which is a lot less than $3,000, so I'll take it. And I'm really happy with the utility of it. It's small and lightweight for a cargo bike. That's one of the big advantages of the like long nose design, is that they're smaller than other cargo bikes and are a little bit more compact and lighter weight. So really good for a college campus. It fits in my room really nicely, and it's just super good to drive around or ride around. So yeah, super happy with it. And look out for the future. I'm going to start making a custom cargo deck for it next, like a real nice deck. So stay tuned. If you guys have any improvements or comments, if you want to see me start making more of these, maybe to sell in the future, this is still in prototyping phase. I'm going to make it all in CAD and refine it from there, make a like final fillet brazed version of it with real bike tubing. So yeah, stay tuned. Thank you guys for watching. See you next time.